Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's data brief with you, Patty. Woohoo! Sure, all my neighbors love me for that, but hey, it's after 9 o'clock. I can bark as loud as I want. Anyway, good morning, all you wonderful people. Great to be back on the air. Did you listen to Julian's presentation yesterday? Damn. He is turning into one badass trader. And I don't know whether it's because it was late at night or he's just so calm in his skin talking to you guys, but geez, he's turning into a really, really good trader. I was so impressed. So way to go, Julian. I have to say, TRI builds damn good traders. We give you the foundations to set yourself up for success. In fact, today's Friday show, the daily brief after party. We're going to have on Paul, our Wednesday crypto show host, to sort of review what happened following our show and the meltdown in the crypto markets here. So Paul, again, gone through the education program. In fact, actually, I think I finally convinced him to do the level 2 program. So way to go, Paul. But geez, another fine trader. I got to tell you, it's a real pleasure teaching these people and then watching them actually become better traders than me. It's just awesome. Just doing JoJo's job. So JoJo, just keep on doing your wishes. Hopefully I get, in fact, actually, I think I heard Chris is heading over to Saudi Arabia. So he's got 7 virgins on the docket there shortly for him. So
I don't know about the 7 virgins, but yes, in about a week's time, I should be heading over there. Yep.
Anyway, sorry, just I don't know how I juxtapose those two thoughts together, but I'm sure there's promise somewhere in the afterlife that I'm gonna get treated well. I mean, what the hell? Hopefully, I get hooked back up with JoJo, but I think she's on to the next life now. But anyway. Had a great time with Liam yesterday. So all your well wishes, of course, on Wednesday evenings in that crypto show. And everybody on the site giving us well wishes. And actually, the people that look after Liam are over the top impressed with the fact that we have well wishes that come from right across the world to karmically help Liam. And I have to say, he's doing, for a guy who lives a challenging life, actually, he's generally okay. Knock on wood, right? So anyway. Okay, today is Friday, of course. Where are we here? It is the 10th of February. This should be about a half-hour review, that kind of idea. Hello, G. Hoost. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hello, Adam. Hello, Nori. Guys over on the YouTube page. Actually, there's a bunch of people here in the Hangout Lounge here, too. Hello, Emilio. Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Hello, Hafed. Hello, CTA Crypto Traders Arena. Oh, we all know who that is. So anyway, where were we? Today's Friday the 10th, TGIF, I suppose. A lot of people in the working world, thank God it's Friday. Interesting world we're living in. Chris, I think, is going to put together a fun little short for YouTube. And it's funny, I sit and watch these little YouTube shorts and, Joe Rogan and all those kind of people. And then all of a sudden this Beamish guy comes on the screen. It's like, oh my God, boo. So, but, this shocked me. I couldn't believe this. This is actually real. That unless you have an income of about $250,000, and of course this is now combined. So basically now mom and dad are both locked into perpetual financial slavery to the banksters. And of course, substitute drama teachers, they live off a trust fund, so they don't even care. But this is actually real. I mean, this is insulting to citizens. And, the funny thing is I was actually looking at buying some houses down in Florida, actually in the Tallahassee area. Jesus, you could get a really nice little house down there, and it's 2,000 square feet for like 100 grand, 200 grand. I mean, this is just, do you have enough annual income to service the mortgage payments? This isn't buying the house. This is do you have enough money to make sure that the nut is met in your financial slavery? And keep in mind, 20, 30-year mortgages. At the end of it, you hope that it's paid off. I know some people who are taking out mortgages, they don't even pay back the principal. It's just like, oh my God, this is insanity. Anyway, having fun with that. And I think Chris put together a really interesting short because I went off on a rant about that the other day. Hello, Joshua, the Joshua McGowan. I have to say, again, I'm so impressed with this community. Such a diverse group and just good people. So there's another one of our absolutely fantastic members of the crew. Joshua, if I gave a shout out to Chris today, hey, Chris, can I give you a hug and kiss? Mwah. There you go. I love working with Chris. There he is. Yeah, but he's busy with his 7 virgins, so let's not disturb him.
What's the news talking about today? What's
going on? Okay, there you go. Let's get that Beamish back on track. What are you doing? Jesus, this is supposed to be 30 minutes. You're just gonna turn this into 4 hours again. All right, so what the hell's going on in the world? Yeah, you're damn straight. But so are you, Sharky. So are you. Okay. What's going on in the world? It is interesting, this CNN, and it's kind of, I'm not quite sure. I mean, unfortunately, Stuart's been really under the weather for the past week or so. So there's another, that was a well-timed cough, eh? So there's another one of these crazy ass sicknesses going around, I guess in Europe right now, not COVID, but literally knocked him on his butt. Hey, there's my buddy. I haven't seen you on the site in a while. Nice to see you, Martin. And if anything, I keep getting distracted. Stay focused, Brian. I'm a little disappointed in the way that these news media, I mean, is any of this actually news? This is conjecture about, now the talk is this Great Salt Lake in Utah is going to dry up. Well, it's already the Salt Lake. What's this? 15 million people are at risk. That's not news. That's more opinion. Drought and disease in California leaves behind an estimated dead trees. Survey finds that's not news. It's more opinion. I'm very disappointed in the way that these media outlets are basically they're trying to trigger the public, and especially this left-leaning CNN. Little disappointed in that, but I do like to have a nice diverse list of all different sort of news sources. I mean, I try as best as I can. This obviously isn't complete. And unfortunately, we did have a little bit of an error recently with the service that we used for the RSS. So this, unfortunately, until Seward's getting back on his feet and he's also doing the Discord migration, this widget here is kind of broken. So just bear with us. But anyway, I don't really see anything quote unquote newsworthy that really jumped out. Did see a couple really cool things. First off, this Angie Craig, basically take that. And, this reminds me of Fast Times at Richmond High. I don't know whether you remember that movie, but one easy way to avail an assailant is throw a hot pot of coffee at him. So way to go, Angie, kicking butt. I thought that, but is that really earth-shattering news? I don't know. It's more just sort of, Bart's people kind of thing. We are in an interesting sort of window here where if we don't keep on top of this, and especially in my country, now unfortunately there was a horrible bus accident. It shouldn't surprise you that Canada is going to have a lot of disgruntled citizens because of the way that this substitute drama teacher has completely destroyed the standard of living of Canadians. Frankly speaking, if the Federal Reserve governor, the banker's bankster, if he can't afford a mortgage in, there's only 3 major cities in Canada. How on earth is something like a bus driver going to be able to afford a home in Canada? So certainly not making any excuses, and there's never any excuses for violence, but it doesn't surprise me that we're going to be seeing a more and more stressed out population here in Canada, which is so sad. Got to feel empathy, of course, for the people in the Middle East. I think the death toll is up to about 20,000 or so. So that ain't so good. But I guess this weekend is Super Bowl weekend. Is anybody over in Europe interested at all in that? Do you hear anybody talking about football over there, Chris?
No, none whatsoever. I forgot about the Super Bowl personally, so I have to reacquaint myself with the American style football.
All right. So, technically, I think it is Super Bowl weekend in the States. And of course, there's all the orgy around media and all that kind of stuff and the commercials and stuff. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to play out, but that's sort of your news if there was news. Economic data, as we had sort of said, and it's interesting how Fox is really the only one who's trying to sort of, hey, don't lose focus of the fact that the banksters are hyperinflating our society to do Klaus's Great Reset nonsense. But the econs are still extremely strong. And the problem with this is that if you just sort of declare, yes, we're done, like the Canadian bankster, for instance, he basically came out and said, that's it, we're done raising interest rates. I am officially calling a top. And you can't, number one, you damn banksters got the whole thing completely wrong through the whole sickness market. You took interest rates down to zero, which I have no idea why the hell they did that, other than probably there were some corporations that, remember, banksters work for the corporations and the big sort of oligarchs of our society that needed that kind of bailout. Unfortunately, they just were wrong every single turn. So now this Bank of Canada governor officially declares that the inflation problem is over. Market, he's just setting us up for more failure, more Klaus's Great Reset. It's probably going to cost $15,000 a month mortgage payments to have a house in Canada. And the irony of it all it's going to do is it's just going to make it to the point where people go, oh, you're thinking about relocating to Canada? That might not be a good idea. And then once these trends start in earnest, oh my God, it's impossible to stop them. So, and of course, fear, greed cycle. I've been barking to you guys now at least for 4 or 5 years that I believe Canada is a short, as well as Australia, as well as Russia. Of course, geez, don't even want to start talking about Russia. I heard that their budget deficits now are something like $20 billion a month. $20 billion a month. So it's going to be like $200 billion budget deficit for them. Anyway, so the news is if anything, this is a really good, if you want to write this down, hey, I want to get something of value out of these broadcasts, Brian, as opposed to all your ranting. This is a really good, what's sometimes good for Wall Street is not so good for Main Street, and vice versa. Sometimes what's good for Main Street, i.e., public's feeling pretty positive about life down in the States. And frankly speaking, I think the US market is very strong. I think the US economy is in an excellent position. And I think that a lot of the policies that Mr. Trump put into place, like the guy or not, if you're a fan of orange toupees, well, so be it. If you're not, so be it. But the policies that he put in place have set the United States up to be just an economic powerhouse going forward here. So it doesn't surprise me that the econs within the USA are actually extremely positive. But the problem there, of course, is that you have that backdrop of a strong economy, and then you go and say, hey, we're taking interest rates to zero. Hey, we're going and printing off checks for everybody gets free money for the next 6 months, 12 months, a year. Well, what the heck do you think's going to happen? Of course, we're going to have hyperinflation. Duh. And the worst part about this is that even if you didn't even graduate from economics for your university program, even if you just took like Economics 101, the basic introductory course of economic theory, you would understand exactly what's going on in the economy and why we have this hyperinflation bubble right now. And yet the banksters look at you with a completely, are they telling us the truth that they don't really know what's going on? Or is this some sort of, Klaus Great Reset plan and they're just bullshitting us just to keep the public quiet? Of course, you know how Brian's going to fall on that argument. So, Econs coming out pretty damn strong. Should the Fed continue raising rates? I do believe so. And then, we start actually looking at like the charts and the technical analysis. I don't see any change to the bear in the stock market. What I see, if anything, was we had a nice dead cat bounce, and now it looks like things are starting to roll over. And then, of course, probably the only thing that we can hold these banksters, somehow hold them to account, is if the Republican Party down in the United States can somehow say, look, at no more runaway spending. You silly socialist commies, substitute drama teachers, you've completely screwed up the economy. Let's get back to basics. And if means some of these big, sort of dead bankrupt companies have to go under, and we got to go through a bit of pain, that's probably in everybody's best interest instead of just limping along. Because do we really want to live in a society like Japan that's basically 10, 15 years, the standard of living a typical citizen has just collapsed and the economy's done absolutely nothing? Because that's basically what the banksters' plan is here for us. It's a little disappointing. But anyway, looking at the markets, I suppose that's your econs and your news. I don't know whether that's really relevant or not, but there you go. Merry Christmas. The markets themselves, of course, we do, because today is an options expiry day, Friday. We always have to ask ourselves, yesterday was a big wipeout day. So I've told you guys before, again, if you want something from these videos that you're probably not going to be told before, usually what ends up happening is they run the market on Thursdays, and then Friday is actually a pretty quiet day. And frankly speaking, I think that's exactly what's happening here. Same poop, different pile. Looking at stocks themselves, you can see it almost flatlining here after just getting smoked yesterday. In fact, well, these are half-hour charts. I mean, you can see that actually the Dow is probably well, anyway, M tops, what are you supposed to think if you see the market smiling at you? If anything, I'm worried that the NASDAQ and the small cap market has come an awful long way here, but it's starting to show signs of breaking. And we're getting some nasty looking action. In fact, actually, it looks like it's right across the board. So big dump yesterday. And now I think you're just going to get a bit of backfilling through the rest of today. Of course, we had that show on Wednesday. And interestingly enough, I mean, it's a little bit of an aside, but I suppose in the after party when we talk to Paul, we'll review the performance. But I did find it fascinating how all three of us were actually negatively leaning coming out of that show on Friday. And I haven't seen that in quite a while. In fact, probably since maybe middle of last year, that we were all kind of like, well, probably going to head lower here. After the market, of course, got completely sort of washed out there into the end of the year. So looking at crypto, oh boy, lots of red, lots of down. What I do find cool is, of course, TRI's dashboard. Definitely this image is a cautionary image. That is not an image where you go, hey, I want to go out and mortgage the farm and get long. And this has been a weird market state where it's actually been kind of like a rolling top. And we might find that this is what ends up ultimately happening, is to actually create the topping pattern. These kind of indicators all have to go into divergence. So stock markets, Bitcoin, we look at the crypto breadth, it looks, just as nasty. They actually, the crypto market actually topped out the middle of January there. And as the crypto market's moving higher and this is moving lower, that is your classic sign of divergence. So, this can be used as, 3 reasons for a trade: location, indicator confirmation, price structure. You could use the breadth indicator as your indicator confirmation. And this thing's been in divergence for a while. In fact, I think I I put the tweets out and stuff. We don't have enough time to go and scroll through that because I'm running out of time here. Where do I have this? Over here. Over here. Yeah. So you can see, the MACD started to go into bear div and actually confirmed there about the 24th of January. You can see RSI. Keep in mind, RSI is actually one of your best overbought, oversold indicators. And you can see RSI got all the way up to 88. I mean, that's ridiculously overbought. RSI does not get up into those high 80s very often. There's one time there. There's one time there. There's one time over here. Look at this div. And look how the market had to work. It's all the way back down here. So, and of course, Willie was completely and utterly stupid. So, the writing was on the walls. It is interesting also, too, to see. You notice that the buying pressure, I mean, there's your big green chunky bars. This is what we teach in our volume impetus module in our level 1 program. But you can see as we were moving higher and higher and higher, and of course, all the kids getting all excited about artificial intelligence, cryptocurrencies. And somebody even came out, and maybe somebody can find that because it probably really should be sort of retweeted and stuff. Somebody came out with a statement yesterday, we were joking about in the lounge, that cryptocurrencies and artificial intelligence bots are like literally comparing apples and oranges. And some guy said it would be like asking, how is Coca-Cola going to affect the construction industry? I thought that was a perfect analogy. Absolutely perfect. I probably should retweet that if I can find it. And so interestingly enough, of course, all the crypto kids getting all excited and bidding up all these artificial intelligence names, which doesn't really make a heck of a lot of sense in crypto, into a heavily, heavily divergent market. In other words, this had trap written all over it. And the worst part about it is it's so difficult to stop the orgy up here. I mean, God, probably after thanks, Sean. Probably after the after party, we'll talk a little bit of Paul. It should be interesting to get sort of feedback from his community on how they were getting all, and we're new people to the community and stuff, getting all crazy bullish and stuff. But I tell you, I mean, it was getting a little bit orgy-tastic there. And now, if anything, we're starting to show signs of failure or breaking down. And it will be really interesting to see where the algo actually has me come back in on the buy side. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, what I'm worried about here is I've been putting out these tweets, and I didn't know whether, and that's the problem with trading, is that you never really want to get into the business of predicting what's going to happen. You just want to map out different scenarios. And then as the scenarios play out, then you can sort of say, all right, well, if I get 3 higher highs and 3 higher lows and it's setting up off at 25 levels, well, those are bullish bot setups and I'll go with that. And, I think in public broadcasts, I even talked a little bit about this, where, if we had crossed back above trend lines and started to W out, then I have to start thinking bullish. But clearly, we were rejected violently off of that trend line and started to break down in earnest. In fact, we've gone so far to the downside now, 66%, that this bullish bot scenario is actually officially off the table. It's just not valid anymore. So what is valid? And I think on the Wednesday show, we had shown you that at the same time that bullish potential setup was firing, we also had this potential bearish one. And we even talked on the Wednesday show about, it looks like we're breaking down here. And then the question ultimately was, how do you draw your head and shoulders as this? One thing I did notice when I was looking at this Bitcoin chart was, gee whiz, a heck of a lot of sort of very valid reasons that if we lost this level in here, we really should go down into this area here. I've always told you guys, the number one thing that we like to see in a market at any given point in time, just to, reaffirm that it's a healthy market, especially if you're in like a rip-roaring bull, is you'd like to see periodic 38.2 checks just to keep everything in line. right? We don't want the market to get too overbought. You don't want it to get too run away. So just come back down. We have Colin over on Hero Exchange, his pump chaser zone, 50%, 38.2 kind of area. Yeah, makes sense. I think Paul even called this a Wyckoff check. So it made sense that we probably would want to check that top. I'm not quite sure about that, but nonetheless, there it is. It's happening now as we speak. A, B, C, Ds, that would take us down into that 38.2. You can see 200 period moving averages needed to be tagged. And interestingly enough, this head and shoulders pattern, if it's legit, then the target is the head down to the neckline and then a projection of the neckline down, same distance. That'll be your ultimate objective. Again, another reason for us to head down into 38.2s. In fact, actually the ABCD takes us down into this level. So here we are. It happened. Good to see. Obviously we're probably going to want to wait for signs of even maybe actually probably what we'd really would like to see is signs of divergence, where maybe we get lower lows in price, but you look down at your indicators and you actually see the indicators are actually making higher lows. So that's the very first thing that we're going to want to see to actually officially say that this down move is over. And then once we get the confirmed divergences, we're going to want to be looking for W's on other sides of trend lines and those kind of things to start the bull again. So this is going to take some time to clean up. And the fact that we've done so much technical damage here, I said the breadth indicator was kind of hinting that maybe it wanted to start turning up. Nope. The one good part about this, though, is you can now officially say the market is no longer stupidly overbought. And that goes back to our Bitcoin chart here, where you can see, that overboughtness is finally getting cleaned up. But daily chart, you see any signs of bullish divergence here in the momentum indicators? No. Any signs of W's or even RSI being oversold? No. Is Willie stupidly oversold? Do we have the public coming in and panic selling? No. Are the buyers themselves driving the bus, or are the sellers themselves driving the bus? Looks like the sellers are driving the bus right now. You can see all the big red chunky bars. So for the time being, I don't think there's a big hurry to do anything here in the market. And if anything, when it comes to the stock market, I think it's too late to put on a trade there now. If anything, you're probably going to see some action against this low here. But what I did notice in the stock market, same sort of logic, is, oh, hello, look what's going on over here. These are the pro shares, ultra pro short QQQs, short tech stocks. And look at what's going on here. And I suppose that if we did look at Bitcoin bear proxies, we'll probably see some action in those as well. And it is interesting, the other day, I did mention that these bear, I think it was on our Tuesday TRI Secret Options Formula Stock Pickers Club, I had mentioned that I was very, very interested in these bear ETFs. Well, here we go. So exact opposite to what you saw on the Bitcoin chart. And keep in mind, the NASDAQ is basically, it's highly correlated with the crypto market. I think they basically move in lockstep now. So down, all right, make a new low, up, try and fill the gap in, down, inside bar. And look at this, what happened yesterday? What do we call this candle? Holy moly, that's a bullish engulfing candle. It's not a key reversal, but it is an engulfing candle. That's actually a valid signal in candlestick land. And you can see where the 50% rule is. And of course, look at all the gaps, big gap there, big gap, a little bit of a gap there, a little bit of a gap there. Yeah, these haven't been filled in. That gap doesn't look like it's been filled in. 50% level. And of course, there's the downtrend line, right? And it really just typical technical analysis 101, probably going to do something along those lines. So our long-awaited sort of February, March correction appears to me like it's underway. And, if anything, the number one message that I'm trying to get out to people, I don't even really like the idea, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't like the idea of shorting this market. Yeah, I think we got a little bit ahead of ourselves. Yeah, I think 2023 is supposed to be a basing year, so it's going to be up, down, up, down, up, down. I mean, I suppose if you're a slick trader, like we said, head and shoulders tops, you could have been shorting. In fact, there was one Russian guy on the site who actually, and I was pretty damn impressed. He said that he was short Bitcoin from this cute little M top up here. Talk about learning how to trade like a boss. Up, down, up, fail. And he was short from that breakdown level. Just ice. You are awesome. Get the fuck out of Russia so you don't get conscripted and die on some Ukrainian battlefield. That he was short Bitcoin there from 23,540. What a boss. And I sure hope to hell he held on to his shorts, because that was such a killer trade. So if you're one of those shorting kind of guys and trading kind of guys, that's probably where you want to be thinking about shorting. Shorting here, I don't think that's such a good idea. But what I would say is, and this is the message that I've been giving out recently, and I got to say, man, pat myself on the back. At least I'm eating my own cooking. A few days ago, I come out and said cycle similarities around this asset are quite shocking. This is so cliche, it's ridiculous. She was cheap, right? The price was down, got down to close to Simon Dixon's 80% level. Just buy the damn thing. Close your eyes. Don't even think about it. I mean, obviously, we've moved substantially away from those lows. Now showing signs that the trend might actually be turning. My weekly 13 EMA, 30 SMA relationship, right? You can see that right here. Starting to cross back up. And on the site, I basically have now a running table of all the assets. If you see sixes, it means you're cheap and the moving averages have turned back up. You can see there's a bunch of cryptos that are trying to scream bull here. And there's also a lot of cryptos that are like, okay, well, I'm just waiting for the trend to actually start turning up. It's interesting how some of the darlings that we have liked in the recent past, like Litecoin, we were touting this back at the end of the year. Unfortunately, this guy's actually started to move up already, and now he's gotten to the point where it's not really that attractive of a buy anymore. In fact, it's rated a 3, which is like a meh. So, not a big surprise. Bitcoin, Ethereum, especially Ethereum heading into the Shanghai. On the weekly basis, they're looking pretty darn attractive. The issue here, though, is usually when these things, the moving averages cross, it's sort of a sign that, hey, we're trying to turn back up. But usually there's a check of the trend right after the cross. And it's sort of like the market's going, well, are you sure you're really bullish? And, I put this out a few days ago. I don't know whether February 5th. So how long ago was that? That was back on Sunday. So we got the weekly cross, but usually there has to be a check of that trend. And that is what I think we're going through now. So, all right, I think I did a pretty good summary there, right? I got through this bear ETF. This would be a way to play that check of the trend. I don't really have too many short proxies that I can use for Bitcoin. I suppose we could probably even look at put options. One market that might be a good way to see this is there is a bear ETF in the Bitcoin universe on the stock market. I just have to find that list here. But I would imagine that the bear ETF in the stock market probably looks a lot similar. Yeah, so there, actually look at that. You can see the inverted head and shoulders that we've been barking about in the Bitcoin price itself. You can see it in the ETF. So there it goes. The only problem is, can you step in and buy that there? Probably not. And of course, look at that. We've left gaps to the downside. So if you got in on the head and shoulders, or if you were like Just Ice, a total badass trader, and you got in on this doji trade, which that might be hard on this ETF, but you saw the Bitcoin little M top up top there. Great, way to go. You're awesome. I don't think it's a good idea to come in here now. And just like that bear ETF on the NASDAQ, I don't think it's a good idea to buy that there. But if we do get pullbacks and let's say, Bitcoin does have a nice bounce back into moving average resistance, and we start getting M's, probably a kiss of this neckline from the underside, and then a failure. This would be like the bull scenario if I'm looking for a buying window into here. But keep in mind, we could very easily set up just yet another sort of short trade opportunity into the 200 SMA, bounce back into the underside of this neckline, then go an M out, and we continue the down move, something like that. That could very easily happen. I do believe that the catalyst for this market is going to be around the 14th, this very public hearing in the US Senate. But as I said, and if anything, we'd almost probably at TRI, we'd actually like to see this thing really puke out and show us a big fat red candle, just wash the whole damn market out, get all the social media people all hating crypto again, get Sam Bankman Fried up in front of the judge and him scolding him about what's a bad citizen he is and all that kind of crap, right? Let's get that kind of rhetoric going, which interestingly enough, to me, is actually going to do nothing more than just set up a buy window. And probably over the coming days, weeks, going forward, I would absolutely love, and this is what I think actually is the Wyckoff check, Benkoff check, I should say, is probably a nice test of that breakout high. That is that weekly double bottom, and that's at 18,387. So that would be sort of my ultimate. If Brian was going to have a wish list, what would he wish for? I would actually wish that we work our way lower down into reload zones, and then we start Wing out, and of course the indicator starts flashing buy signals, and all these things start Wing out. So I think this happens like over the next week or two, but as it stands right now, it's going to be a bit of a tough slog here in crypto land for the next little bit. So, and also too, like I said, this is not just contained within crypto. And the interesting sort of juxtaposition to this is that next Tuesday, Wednesday, we have that Senate hearing about FTX, but also too, we have a key inflation report that's coming out right there. And oh, by the way, the US government's gone and conveniently changed the metrics of how you calculate CPI again. That's awfully convenient. But anyway, point here is, I think we probably have some sort of big catalyst coming up here, 14, 15. So anyway, there's your report for the day. In the after party, we'll check in with Paul and see what he's thinking in his community and how that's going. Also, too, I wouldn't mind checking in on how he's doing in the level 2 program, whether anything can be added to his tool belt as a student of the market, and see whether maybe he's got short positions working in the market. So maybe pop in and check that out if you have time today. All right, Chris, was there anything else we're supposed to mention? I think we got about a half hour there, right? That's about right.
I think we've covered a few things here in this half-hour segment. Good to
go. All right, why don't we leave it at that? Of course, we'll see everybody for broiler chickens on Sunday. PMA for the win. Slow and steady wins the race. Don't take no wooden nickels, as they always say. And of course, if you are in a position to actually be a buyer of crypto going forward, I think actually there's a bunch of ideas that I'd be willing to step in on the long side. But, you just got to bring them back down to earth, right? Where the hell's my crypto? Is this crypto? Well, anyway, it's all set to the stock market. So if anything in the after party too, maybe we'll also take a look at some names that and actually I do have a bunch of bids working. So, hell, I might even have done some buying here, although it looks fairly green here. So if anything, I want to see some more red. I want to see these prices come back down to earth, and then I'll be back in on the buy side. Okay, everybody, have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. All the best, and bye.